Here is the real reason why your offer is not converting the way you would like it to, and they never take off as fast as you want them to. You probably have a folder on your Google Docs or on your computer with all of these half-baked offers. I know, because I have them too, literally hundreds and thousands of them. We come up with these cool ideas. This is a market that is underserved. This is so cool. We're going to fix it. We're going to solve all these problems. And then reality steps in. And the problem that I see with most copywriters, and it's really got nothing to do with the copywriter themselves. It's the model that they're in. The more clients you take, the more your focus is fractured. So every single time you take a client, you have less and less focus to get stuff done, right? And like, let's say that this is your offer. Now you're competing with all of the other work that you have to do. Now, we need to make money. We need to take clients. We need to pay our bills. We need to have this, yes, but there's a much better way to build this out structurally for ourselves and a new way to think about our offer. So what I like to say is, like, if I knew that I could not fail and that I was to have my $1 million offer or whatever number is exciting for you, that I couldn't fail and I was just X amount of attempts from achieving that, how hard would I work on it? So let's redraw that circle. This is how I would do it. And this is what I did do. Is I looked at my entire focus and I was like, this section here, this is to pay my bills. This is to pay my bills. The rest of this time is to grow my offer. See the difference? Now I'm spending about 20% of my time doing client work. Yes, I'm not making as much money as I could, but because the model is limited, which I can explain to you here as well, client first, offer first. That might make a little bit of sense for you. We're really coming up against this, like, it's out of your control. You can't squeeze more hours into the day. You can't have more focus. You can hire people, but then you're managing teams and building all this stuff out to build a model that's not even going to serve you the way that you deserve to be served, right? Let me explain this a little bit clearer. So we have, on this side, client first. And with the client first model, it is very much about going out to the marketplace, promoting yourself, which you're doing all that work. You're bringing them into your world. You're closing the deal. You're fulfilling on the work. And then you're struggling to bring people in over here because you're already dealing with this. Now you have enough client work, and then you sprinkle your offer on top of that. So now it's like you got your offer, you got 5 other clients' offers, it becomes an absolute mess, and you can't see anything. And it's not your fault. It's the actual model is set up that way, where you're limited. You're going to hit this income ceiling, and I always like to look at it as like a bit of a seesaw, right? I'll just go like this, and you got to go while the getting's good. Like a client, you get a referral, you got to stop what you're doing, you got to jump on that call, you got to close them, and then the seesaw tips the other way, right? And now you got a client, but now you got to fulfill on that. And then so you go and you start fulfilling and you start doing all this stuff, and you know, maybe you do a good job and they're like, they fire you because you did a good job and they want to bring it in-house or whatever the conclusion of the relationship is. Now you're going back to the marketplace to try to find them. And you're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It's brutal. And there's not much you can't outwork it. You can't outsmart it. It's just a wrong model. Now, a great model that I use was what I like to call, here, I'll leave that there actually. Let's go offer first. Now, the big difference with offer first is that we've disconnected the value from you. And the client first, you are the person. You get all the results. You do all the fulfillment. You do all the selling. You do. With offer first, the offer does the selling. Your offer does the selling. Your marketing does the selling. You bring traffic in. You get them to put their hand up. You let your offer do the selling. Usually something like a low ticket offer. And then what this gives you is up and to the right growth, because it's not dependent on your time. Whether you sell 5 or 10 or 20, you're winning. And when you stack these 3 things in your favor, traffic, marketing, and sales, you can't help but win. And then you can hire people to automate these processes and build systems to automate them so they scale without you. So you can go on vacation, spend time with your family, build something that's cool and important to you, still serve a market and do the things that you love, but you are not the full value. Right? Does that make sense? And like, again, as you start stacking things, the more you do it, the harder it is, and the harder and the less, and like it just gets harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. And don't want this at all. And I'm not saying you don't do client work, because you do, but treat yourself like a client. Now, let's get back to the original idea that I had for this video, and that is you cannot fail. You cannot fail. The only way you can fail is if you quit. You're not going to take on a client, build a funnel for them, write their copy, help them figure out their whole strategy and do all that stuff. You're not going to fail because you're committed and you understand it and you already have the skills. You're just not pointing them in the right direction. You point them to yourself in your offer. Now you can have something that's scalable, that you own, that you control. And with that control, you can dictate who you work with, when you work, how you want to work, how much you want to work. And it just gives you that power and that mojo. It's freaking great. And the reason I say you cannot fail, I want to share a little story with you. Apollo 11 is one of the successful moon landings, right? So let's do my little, see if I can draw Apollo for you here. Let's just go like this. Here's the moon landing, right? Here it is, right here. It's en route. On this side, we have planet Earth, and it's got to go from here all the way to the moon. Now, when I learned this, I was so blown away. I'm like, this can't be real. But when they launched Apollo 11, it is going in the wrong direction 97% of the time. Let that sink in. Like, so 97% of the time, it is going the wrong way. So how do they make it to the moon then? Especially back in the 70s. Like, it's crazy. Think about, you have more technology in your phone than they had on that spacecraft. How did they make it to the moon? Well, they did it by a little concept called course correcting. So it would get off course, and then it would correct its course. And it would do that all the way to the moon. Your offer is no different. If you're not if you're not maxing yourself out with clients to the point where you're getting burnt out and you got to hire an assistant, you're building all the systems around an unscalable offer, an unscalable model, you're going to struggle. It's going to be really, really hard to have the focus and the energy to build your offer. And I promise you, you cannot fail. When we find a market that is underserved, they desperately need your help. They're already buying a bunch of junk from somebody else, and it's not solving the problems. They're in extreme pain. We come in and build a unique, elegant solution, people are going to buy. And it's not because you're great, and it's not because, you know, we've thought of this crazy, amazing thing, which it'll probably be pretty cool to solve that problem. But we found somebody who's in pain, who is already looking for the solution that we provide. And they're buying things that aren't working. And when you see that in a marketplace, it's like the ultimate opportunity for you to become an offer owner. And you can't fail, because once you have these pieces, you're literally just going out into marketing and copywriting. We call it optimization. We're just optimizing over time, little tweaks, little tweaks, little tweaks, little tweaks. We just need to give ourselves the space and the time to do that. So here's what I recommend. Figure out what your burn rate is, how much your bills are, and all your stuff. Get enough clients to cover that. Get one additional client to give you spending money to get it done. So let's say you need one client at $5,000, and then like, okay, my life is kind of covered. I can pay all my bills. Take two clients at $5,000. Now you have $5,000 that you can play with to grow and scale and build your offer. You see? And instead of taking, you can max out at about 5 or 6, maybe 10 clients if you're really good, but then you got no time for your offer. You get this system to work where we're going to go out to, let's see, we're going to go out to cold traffic. We are going to get them to put their hand up. With our offer, get them excited. And we're going to close them, which allows us to bring somebody in, an absolute stranger that we don't know. We have an offer, usually a low ticket thing, that gets them excited. It's an elegant solution that solves a problem that nobody's really solving. There's all these half-baked solutions that people have in the marketplace. That's how you know there's a good opportunity there. Then once they buy that and they see our value, we close them and sell our high-ticket stuff. And this gives you control over your life and over your business. And you're no longer reliant on referrals. You're no longer reliant on your small little email list, your little bit of social stuff, all your little pieces. You're able to go to the market, buy as much traffic as you want. When done right, this part here, your offer, not you, not your value, the value that your offer generates, self-liquidates itself, meaning somebody spends $1, you get $1 back, and then you get an opportunity to sell your stuff to a hot prospect on the back end of all of that. That's pretty sweet, right? Well, it's the difference between going to the market and like just waiting for something to happen. And this is what I see a lot of copywriters, a lot of entrepreneurs doing. They're already successful. They're already fulfilling all of that. But when they lose a client, they got to go get busy and like post on social and DM 30 people and do all of these things, right? Like this is, now I got to market my business, and that sucks. When we build a system, we can have we can have a media buyer that automates that. Cool. Then we can have a low ticket funnel That warms people up and builds trust, gets them a result in advance. And then we can have a closer close for us. Right? Which allows us to print cash. This is automated. This is automated. This is automated. So the reason your offers aren't taking off is because it's reliant on you to do all the things. And you're a human being and you're not a system and a process. So it's very hard for us to do that. Once we get to capacity, there's no more time and energy left for us to grow and scale. We may be making good money, but it's nowhere near what an amazing offer could do for us and inside of our business. And again, it gives you that control. So now when you go on vacation, your media buyer's problem is to solve cold traffic for you. Your low ticket offer solves that problem for you. Your closer closes deals for you. So you're waking up with things are already flowing into your business. Now you can step into it. And it's the difference between owning a job and owning an asset. That is the big difference in between this model. And when you implement it, it's not like this smooth sailing. You have to course correct and you have to figure things out, but you got to give yourself the time to figure it out. Like I said, if you knew you couldn't fail and you were X amount of tries from $1 million offer that you were in control of, what's stopping you? Well, I got to service my clients. Well, I got to do these. I got to do this. I got to do this and this. You know what is truly stopping you? Excuses. And that's cool. And you can do just client work and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you feel like you're hitting a ceiling and you want to get past that and you want to implement something like this inside of your business, I have an opportunity for you down below. It's a $97 offer assessment. You come in, we literally show you everything how to implement this into your business. If you get excited about it and you want to just take the plan and run and implement it yourself, you can. If you want us to help you implement it, you can. But you're going to stop selling your time and it's not about stop selling your time. It's having the control to say no. It's that F you money, man. It's the ability to be like, I don't want to take this client on. And ultimately to make clients optional for you, your business, and you can leverage your skill and serve way more people. So instead of helping 10, 20 people over here and all of their markets and them getting all the praise and them getting all the money and them getting all the stuff, you can help millions of people over here or even thousands of people. To have a successful offer, you only need a couple thousand people with a giant problem that you can come in and solve for them. That's it. Those are the systems and processes. If you like trainings like this, I launch one every single week, every single Tuesday. If you feel the need to subscribe. If not, cool, man. Keep on rocking. And I'm going to see you in the next one. Hopefully that serves you. Offer down below. This is why your offer's failing. Let's fix it. Cheers. Peace.